ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Eve Echoes. For those of you that don't know me, my name is GicaForta and I'm an Eve Echoes official content creator, and I've been away for quite some time. I've actually been on a pretty big vacation. Haven't posted much content in the past 2 or 3 months, and honestly, this vacation was very much needed. And just to, to emphasize on things, one thing that the pandemic has taught us is that you don't toy around with mental health. And even though you don't notice it, it's the issues that just stay underneath the skin. And I guess it all depends on the level of understanding that we have of ourselves. And one thing that I did during this vacation, I took my time to, learn more things about myself and discover more of me and what I can do. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but at one point I did post a video, which was a PvP compilation with the Arbitrator 2 covered ops, and the soundtrack was a song that I did as a cover. Guitar and voice and all the other instruments that you can hear in there, that's all me. And I've been doing pretty much guitar lately. I've got 2 guitars, one acoustic and one electric, and I kind of neglected them for quite some time, and I was very happy that I was able to play again and enjoy the happiness that playing these instruments give me. So without further ado, let's get into the content. What about the content? What about Eve Echoes? What's happening? What has been happening for the past months inside Eve Echoes? Well, last time when we checked, solo content was about to be introduced inside Eve Echoes in terms of exploration, because, before we left, we kind of actually militated for solo content in regards to exploration, because there was no such thing. Of course, there was nihilist space, of course, there was scanning other players and blowing them up, but sure, some of this can be done in groups. Of course, solo PvP is still a thing, and it still will be, and will be for a long time. Solo PvP will never die. But solo exploration, like players actually exploring by themselves and doing content that, it's supposed to be intended for doing solo, was nowhere to be seen. Now, NetEase introduced solo exploration sites such as relic and data sites, which you can just scan down and then use relic and data analyzers to get the contents of the cans inside. The items pretty much are consistent of blueprints and, of course, decryptors, which help in the reverse engineering process, and they pay out pretty nicely on the market. Unfortunately, many people have been complaining, and I've been reading the forums, don't worry, I've been active, just not in content-wise, but I've been here and there, I've been lurking in the shadows, analysing what was going on, and the main issue with these sites is they have a very slow spawn rate. Now, we militated for NetEase to give us this solo exploration content, but, half job, half done, whatever. The fact that these sites take a lot of time to spawn, or respawn for that matter, pretty much dumbs down the happiness that one player might find in doing solo exploration. But nonetheless, when you find those sites, the payout is pretty good. And considering that the respawn timers is quite long, that means there's a scarcity of said items on the market, meaning their prices don't plummet. They're more hard to find because the sites spawn not so often, meaning people will be, at least people who reverse engineer, will be in constant demand of such decryptors, and the low supply means that the prices tend to stay pretty up. And that's neat. It's a trade-off. It depends which side you're on. If you enjoy the prices, you're good. If you don't enjoy the respawn timers of these sites, well, maybe they will be improved in the near future. Among other things, new nanocores and other bunch of stuff was introduced, including the loyalty point store alongside the Factional Wargames, which you can basically take part in the Factional Wargames, use any ship that you like from the lineups of all the empires, not just the empire that you matched with. By the way, you have a filter button, you can just swap through all the ships inside, not just the faction that you've been loaded with by default. And you can gain loyalty points, and with those loyalty points you can buy exclusive items like test items or modified stuff. And of course, from time to time you might see some debris, some faction debris in the loyalty point store, and that faction debris is either Sisters of Eve or Mortis Legion, and that kind of debris is used for reverse engineering, and you can build your own, or I don't know, sell it to someone who reverse engineers and builds these ships, and that's how you get Sisters of Eves and Mortis Legion, like Garma, like the Orthrus, or the Stratio, or the Astero, and they're nice ships, very expensive, because the chances of you getting one such debris inside the LP store is pretty slim. This means there's a lot of demand and low supply, just like in the previous scenario with the decryptors, but this is even more rare. And the prices for those ships is just through the roof. What can I say? The economy of EVE Online is not the same as the economy in EVE Echoes. That's pretty obvious. What else was introduced? Well, I did enjoy the fact that the lore team actually started moving, and I don't know, they put some coal in the boilers and started moving those steam trains and getting out content in terms of lore. We've had some events in which the players were informed that they needed to do some special sites. They would get some alien or at least unknown debris that they would in turn turn over to Concord for further analysis. Turns out that those debris parts were introducing the way to the capital ships, the Dreadnoughts, the siege engines as one would call them. And why do I say this was intertwined with the lore pretty nicely? Because that event coerced the players into engaging, into getting some items, turning them over, and now the story has progressed. Concord got a bunch of pieces, started analyzing, and with all the major faction empires has begun testing and producing these ships. And how else to test them? Well, there's the Factional Warfare Type 2, or at least the second tab, which pretty much allows you to test these Dreadnoughts in battle, at least in a test environment, of course. You get 4 waves, 4 spawns, and after each spawn, depending on how many ships you destroyed, if you clear out the entire spawn, you get 3 items. If you, I don't know, just progress through the waves without clearing them out, you just get 2 items. And you start off with your ship, with one of the Dreadnoughts, one of the Dreadnoughts from the 4 faction empires. You can pick one. You've got the Galentian Moros, you've got the Minmatan Naglfar, you've got the Kaldari Phoenix, and the Amarian Revelation. You start off only with the guns fitted on the ship and nothing else. You progress through the spawns, you get items, and basically you prepare yourself as after the 4th spawn, the 4th wave of test NPCs, all the other players that have survived will be pitted against one another. And of course, if you manage to blow up another player by last hit, not by damage dealt, you will get extra points, and you will be classified as number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4, depending on how many points you've accumulated during this test run. And you can redo the test. The Factional Warfare for Dreadnoughts has its own time intervals, and you can participate. It's different than the normal Factional Warfare, as in the standard one, which you just hop in and you can have, you know, the Scepters, the destroyers and the assault ships, and do the beacons and destroy the haulers. So what can we say about this Factional Wargames with Dreadnoughts? Well, honestly, I was really happy with it being inside the game and them taking this approach into introducing new content. They didn't just like slap the content and you know, these are the patch notes, slap, you've got Dreadnoughts now, whatever, do whatever you want. It's nice to appreciate the effort that they've managed to pull off by introducing features via storytelling. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning, they've done a pretty nice job of intertwining the release of this feature, the Dreadnoughts, with some story elements. Now, the event itself is pretty standard. You got the spawns, you get the items, you battle as much as you can, and in the end you get loyalty points in return for participating in the test. But how good is the test? I wanted to go into a deep down analysis of the mechanics. One thing I did not enjoy was the fact that you did not have a fitting screen, so of course we cannot see what stats the Dreadnoughts have. Of course, I will dive into the Dreadnoughts on the test server, and I'll probably do some videos to reveal the stats and to, I don't know, compare the 4 ships, the ones from each of the empires. Of course, be sure to check out Voxel if you are German speaking, and Voxel is doing German content for Eve Echoes. Be sure to check out his channel, link below. He started doing some of the reviews for the Dreadnoughts. Another thing that I was annoyed with was the multitude of bugs that this event had in it. I was very frustrated at one point in, I don't know, I tried playing 2 consecutive matches. The guns would jam constantly, and they would remain in an infinite loop of activation, unable to activate, unable to shoot. I had to close the game, restart the game, and then shoot once, gun jammed again, close the game again. What the fuck was that? But this was pretty much fixed after the first downtime. I'm guessing many players have reported this issue in particular, and this was subsequently fixed, and now you can really enjoy doing the test run, going through all the spawns and then meeting the other 3 players in glorious combat. As a base comparison between the 4 Dreadnoughts inside the test, I can tell you that the Phoenix is probably the worst of them all. It has the most survivability, but against the NPC spawns, it sucks balls. You can't even hit those things, and the damage from the cruise missile, the Citadel cruise missiles, is just horrendous. And you won't be able to finish any of the spawns using the Phoenix, however, during the player encounter, because, you know, large missiles, big missiles, tend to have poor explosion velocity and very crappy explosion radius. However, versus other Dreadnought types, it will be amazing. You will deal so much damage. Unfortunately, your items will also suck, because you won't be able to finish any of the wave spawns. You will only get 2 items every time, as opposed to, I don't know, playing with the Revelation or playing with the Naglfar. You will be able to finish, I think, 3 spawns. You will get 3 times 3 items. That's big, because the items, well, they stack up, and you get rigs, and you get weapon upgrades, and that's awesome, because in the end, people having the best tank and the best damage, depending of the randomness of the items which they received, will be victorious in the end in the battle of free-for-all. Unfortunately, in wave number 3, there is a Phoenix, a Caldari Phoenix amongst the NPC spawn, which will kind of mess you up pretty badly, and depending on how much HP you bled out, and depending on if you got a armor repper or a shield booster in the first 2 spawns, you will be able to keep your HP up, or your HP will be pretty much, I don't know, a big chunk of it will be missing when you will reach the PvP final engagement. And what players tend to do is everyone locks each other up, and all the players tend to go after the weakest player. It's basic rules of engagement. Eliminate the weakest player from the battlefield, and the one with the least HP will most definitely get targeted and blown up in the first 10 seconds of the round. After which is just survival of the fittest. Whoever has the best tank and most damage will be able to overpower the other dudes. But of course, if more players band against you, well, you're pretty much screwed. So as an advice, the best advantage you can get is to get inside the room number 5, which is the PvP zone against the other players, with as much HP as you can. That will allow you to not get targeted and blown to bits in the first part of the round, and you will be able to eliminate 1-2 players, and in the end, of course, only 2 players will remain to face off. I've had matches where none of our tanks would break. I wasn't able to blow up his tank, he wasn't able to blow up my tank, and we just sat there and we talked in chat. Because that's what chaps do, right? Excellent sportsmanship, and great for you guys that stood and just chat with me while we were just shooting at each other doing nothing. So what can we expect from the Dreadnoughts? Well, definitely these are not ships to, I don't know, go in fleets and start pew-pewing battle cruisers and cruisers and all that. No, they're mostly intended for shooting down stations, and of course, from what we've seen in the test result in the test spawns, you get like some battleships. You got some pretty nice damage against battleships. That is an important aspect. But do take into consideration that during this test we have absolutely no skills that could be applied, no gun skills for the weapons that we have. So I guess, I don't know if the stats have been like maxed out, like you would have all the skills in 5, or the damages and the stuff that we've been doing is with 0 skills. That remains to be seen, and I'll hop onto the test server and try to confirm that and try to understand what the future is in store when these big ships will be arriving to build, to fly, and to shoot other people and other stations. Also, I'm highly interested to see what the future has in store for us in terms of the void space, whatever that may be. Possibly wormholes, I cannot confirm, I do not know, I'll have to do more research. Next week we will be relaunching our community question of the week. With that, we will start to give again 2 Omega Combo clones to 2 lucky winners. In the meantime, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below in terms of what content would you like me to create next. Maybe you've been wishing to see some, I don't know, some fitting guides for some ships or some strategies, or hey Gica, what's new on that? Maybe you have some info that you can release, and I'll be in contact with the developers and I'll try to get as much as possible. That's it for today. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you guys for watching. A very big shout out to my channel supporters, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.